What is the worst experience you've had at a theme park? So it's a school trip at a British theme park, Alton Towers actually. We're allowed to go with whoever we want and explore the park. I am with my friends and we were looking for something to do after the 5th or 6th roller coaster we had been on. We suddenly think the water rapids. Can't remember the ride name, but basically a water ride with a large circular dinghy boat. So we know where it is, and we're about to head that way. As we do, I turn without looking where I am going a near 3-4 year old kid, with no parents within his arm's length, in the face. As I am helping him up, the mother and his other family members approach. In fear, I drop the kid back on the ground, whilst he's still crying from when I first kneed him in the face, and run to the water rapids. My friends are crying with laughter, barely able to keep up with me because they're laughing so hard, whereas I am scared of being picked up by the Alton Towers police or something. Hope the kid is okay. We stood in line for just over an hour. Then the operator told me I was too tall. I always wondered if Shaq would be allowed to ride Space Mountain. Canada's Wonderland. My first experience going there alone with another friend of mine. We went on Skyrider, which is a roller coaster where you essentially standing with a bike seat in your ass. We got stuck on that ride 3 times, totaling up to 2 hours. They offered everyone affected free pizza. 13-year-old fat self loved this gesture. Few rides later we find ourselves on drop zone. Top of our drop. Every other cart drops but ours. We were stuck at the top for another 2 hours. I don't have a fear of heights, but the girl beside us was puking and it was pretty high up, and I can only imagine the wind taking her puke and ruining someone's day. Anyways, 2 hours pass and without warning, they drop us and I of course think I'm going to die. I didn't obviously, but they offered us pizza for the inconvenience. I think about this now and it makes astounded how easy 13-year-old me was satisfied. Skyrider is gone now. I had a seizure on a swinging ship ride. My friend's dad took my friend and I to AskReddit one summer when we were like 11. AskReddit is located in Houston, and if you've ever been to Houston during the summer, you know it's hot as frick. We woke up late that day and went straight to McDonald's for lunch beforehand, where I ate a cheeseburger, salty fries, and a soda. So at this point I'd had absolutely zero water leading up to our arrival at the park. We finally get inside and traverse the park to get in line for our first ride, the Texas Cyclone, which had an estimated 1 hour wait time. Well, about 30 minutes into the wait, I started feeling a little odd. I was getting lightheaded, and things were very oddly fading in and out into different shades of yellow. I had no idea what was going on, so I tried to tell my friend's dad, but it was too late. At this point I remember everything turning a very dark shade of yellow. I couldn't speak, and the last thing I remember was watching my deep yellow-hued vomit being broadcasted all across the lady in line front of me. I woke up in the medical center of the theme park and was diagnosed with a severe heat stroke that nearly killed me. Safe to say Mr. Bell made sure we drank plenty of water in the summer going forward. AskReddit is. Hate to break it to you if you didn't already know, but AskReddit has been closed for a decade now. A bird flew into one of the deep fryers while I was working there. Someone threw a small plastic pumpkin off of a ride going probably 40 miles per hour and it hit me directly in the throat while I was standing in line. LOL. Sat in vomit or a vomit-like substance almost immediately after entering the park. It was hot. It smelled. I bought $40 sweatpants at the gift shop so I could wear something. I took my daughter and had to walk around 4 hours and wait in long lines and pay through the nose for parking and food. The end. Waited 2.5 hours so my daughter could meet Anna and Elsa from Frozen for like 1 minute. After that, I asked what she wanted to do next. It was to get back in line to meet Anna and Elsa again. That pretty much killed theme parks for me. Getting stuck in a kiddie ride what was 5 feet off the ground. They summoned about 6 people to stare at us, and not a damned one of them could fix anything or do anything. They were wastes of space. It was hot. The ventilation was limited. My son and daughter were losing their minds. The park attendant managers wouldn't get a ladder to get us down, bring us anything to cool off with, or basically do any goddamned thing. My stepson was a teenager and wasn't with us on the ride. We were 2 hours late to the rendezvous point. He was worried sick. I was worried sick. The worst of it was the folks they brought in to observe us. Not only did they not do anything, they freaking bristled at us as we finally got out. If I didn't have my kids with me, I would have made a Titanic scene. I was stuck upside down on the Demon in Six Flags Great America. I was at a light angle, on my way down the loop, just barely, and it just was uncomfortable beyond reason. I was stuck there for almost an hour and it was really hot. Sitting on metal and heat plus being upside down is a terrible combination. I also got dragged into a fight one time. Sigh. Went to Great America the other weekend for the Fright Fest thing. Got stuck on the Superman just pulling back into the station. With the fact I still have the jewels and I have boobs, it was the most physically uncomfortable experience of my life. At WDW Florida, my family went to Typhoon Lagoon for the day. They have a ride where you get fins, a mask and snorkel and just snorkel through a pool with a reef, fish and cute little sharks. I was a teen and having such a good time with my mom. We're both strong swimmers and we were literally swimming through the ride, dropping the gear, getting back in line and going again. That is until a guy who got in the pool behind me didn't know how to swim, panicked and did what any drowning person does. Grabbed the nearest thing and tried to stand on top of it, which was teenager me. Thankfully, a lifeguard saw it all and hopped in to help. I didn't drown or really get hurt, but those few seconds of having someone hold me underwater were terrifying. Frick that guy for getting on the ride if he can't swim. We had just passed the gates and walked into the park when my mother-in-law got the call that her mother had died. Only been back there once since, and it was 14 years ago. Ouch, the theme park isn't at fault here though, so enjoy it. It was just bad timing, I guess. Every 7th grade class at my school had a physics day at Joga Lake near the end of the year. This was meant to be fun, but also to allow us to apply the formulas and calculations we had learned. My partner and I were next in line to ride an old rickety wooden roller coaster when the next set of cars pulled up, and there was a very heavy-set young girl passed out in her seat. Immediately the staff jumped into action, but due to her size, they struggled several minutes before eventually pulling her free and dropping her on her face. We later learned that she had died because she had suffered an asthma attack during the ride and was unable to access her inhaler. I still think about her nearly 20 years later every time we go to an amusement park. I was riding the Superman ride of Steel at Darien Lake near Buffalo. Nyan got hit right in the eye with a bug. I was wearing my contacts and upon impact my eye was burning so bad. I was alone at the park. When the ride came to the station, the pain was only getting worse. I had to crawl out of my seat and wait to a worker who didn't speak much English. 20 minutes later, help arrived and they washed out my eye and couldn't find my contact. I called my ride and went to her. Long story short, my cornea was ripped open 8mm by 8mm and had pieces embedded in my eye. Doc said I will heal and push the pieces out. Tons of antifungal eye drops and numbing drops to help me. Week later I go back and the doc said the eye healed over the pieces. We planned surgery the next morning. Surgery was the scariest part. You have to be wide awake. And then they cut my eye open and got the pieces out. It went well, and about 20 college kids learned a lot. Doc said if pieces went 1 stroke 2 mm deeper, I would have lost my vision. To this day, every eye exam I have they see the scar from the bug pieces. If I look at a bright light at night I can see the scars in the light. So creepy. Still wearing contacts and riding coasters. But no complications at all. AMA. Whoa, man, that's crazy. As a local, I thought you were going to mention being on the ride when the veteran with prosthetic legs was thrown off and fell to his death. That was big news around here. Cedar Point has a stand-up coaster that when the ride starts the stand-up harness don't lock. I was messing around on it and it locked on my an inch above where it should have been, so most of my body weight was supported by my gooch. Every turn all the blood went directly into my legs. Pretty painful. The Mantis. They actually got rid of that ride recently and replaced it with a sitting coaster. People at the last row of the roller coaster puking when it reached the top and was about to go down to the slope. Similar experience, only difference is drunk guy on the outside seat in the front row hit everyone on that side of the coaster. Years ago I went on a roller coaster called, I think, Pitch Black, at Alton Towers. which went backwards and was obviously in complete darkness. Each car sat 2 people, one behind the other with a plunger type cushion thing pushing you both into the seat's backrest. I was sat behind my mate, and as the plunger thing came out it didn't push us back into the seat fully. No big deal, we thought. Obviously it'll finish when the ride starts. Unfortunately it didn't. Instead I wrapped my arms around my friend and the plunger and held on for dear life. We honestly thought we were going to die. Luckily there were no loops and the photo at the end was hilarious. We were both as white as ghosts. That ride has since been shut down, which is probably a good thing. The last time I went to a theme park it was Pleasure Island in Cleethorpes, and after going on a ride I started feeling really sick and needing to poop, and I had several poops and vomits throughout the day. Not going on any more rides and eventually went home, and that's how I discovered I have irritable bowel syndrome. I was at Alton Towers this year when the Smiler crash happened. We'd been debating whether to go on it or go for lunch first. Lunch won out, and thank God it did. This butthole in a raccoon costume made fun of me by mimicking how I walk. I broke my foot slightly, but I could still walk without the crutches. I hope that sucker loses 2 of his toes, an arm, all of his teeth, and 1 testicle, then jumps into a pool of lava naked. Maybe he just thought you had some neat swagger. Six Flags Over Georgia in May on a Saturday. I don't know what we were thinking. The low point of the day was trying to eat lunch, which we waited an hour and a half to get, while 3 women with vaporizers swatted at hornets near where we were sitting. Spent the rest of the day hungry and sunburned. But hey, we got to ride Batman backwards. I went to a theme park with a small group from university, and the queues for everything were huge. About the only ride that had even a half decent waiting time was the Rapids Log Flume thing. Reason for that is, although it's an awesome ride, you get insanely soaked on it, and it was mid-November. I made the first mistake of leaving my hoodie in the car and then spent most of the day drenched and shivering. Wasn't the best choice for the first ride we went on to in hindsight. In middle school, I went to this small park called Adventureland in Iowa on a field trip. I managed to get the front car of a roller coaster to myself. When the cars started to move, the lap bar bumped back up and wouldn't lock back into position. So I spent the entire ride with my arms wrapped around the bar and my feet trying to find some kind of purchase on the curved surface of the legroom area. Fortunately it didn't invert or anything, but the drops and sideways turns were pretty scary. Was walking through Epcot when I kicked a toddler over. Didn't even see him and almost fell over myself. Parents were surprisingly cool about. I still felt like crap though. As a parent with a toddler, this is pretty much an inevitability. We parents know it's the kid's fault. The one where I thought it would be a good idea to visit a theme park, Luna Park, Melbourne, while severely hungover. After the first ride I instantly felt drunk all over again and didn't know whether to spew, pass out or go on another one. Waited for 2.5 hours to ride on the new Wicked Cyclone ride at Six Flags New England. Had a season pass, got early access. Then the ride broke down right as it was going to be my turn to get on. Ended up waiting another hour for them to fix it because frick it, I had already invested 2.5 hours into this, may as well go all in. I was there a few weeks ago, and it seemed like they were only ever running the Cyclone on and off. Swear I only saw it cycle 5 times all dang day. The Goliath Towers were closed too. Sad times. Some toddler flew off a ride similar to a merry-go-round, but it was faster. I was going to get a drink and this kid just flew right past and onto the ground. Guess centripetal force wasn't working enough for him there. You have been visited by the doggo of chores. This doggo will do all your chores, but only if you comment clean well doggo. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.